Happy Monday. Let's do another mock draft. This is going to be my fourth edition of a mock draft. We're getting closer and closer to the draft. We're learning more and more about where teams are going to pick, more and more about these players. I'm so excited. The offseason for me in football, a lot of times is even sometimes more fun than in season just because of the draft and all the stuff we learn and how we see teams value players year in and year out. The top of the board is starting to get set. I think unless something big changes at the top, I think we do know who's going to go number one and who is going to go number two. I am going to keep it the same as I had it last week. I have said personally that I like Dante Moore a little better than Fernando Mendoza as a prospect, just because I think the upside is better with Dante Moore and he is younger. With that being said, I'm going to continue to make this the pick at number one of Fernando Mendoza out of Indiana. We just saw them go head to head, and we've seen them go head to head twice this year. Fernando Mendoza has come out on top both times, and in this last one, in dominant fashion. The question with him a little bit had been in big games, he hadn't shown up as much. Look at the playoffs. Last three games, three really, really good teams. He's played his best football. I think he is the lock right now to be the number one pick. It would take a lot, it feels like, for him not to. It would take a major injury or something to come out in the draft process that the teams really don't like. I think right now he is by far the favorite to be number one. Although Dante Moore maybe didn't have his best game, he also didn't, I don't think, was the big issue. Oregon just looked lost all day. They couldn't stop Indiana. I still have him going number two overall to the Jets, probably the team that needs quarterback the most in the NFL. The Raiders do still have Aiden O'Connell, which is a competent quarterback. You can see against Indiana, not a good game. His two really, really bad games this year have been against Indiana. So maybe a little bit of a concerning point, but he's very young. I don't think he stays in college. I know there's been some rumors of this. I think he declares in the next week or two and comes out as the second overall pick in this draft. At number three to Arizona, I've had them going defense this entire time. They fired Jonathan Gannon. It seems like they want to go more offensive with the coach. So I will have them going offense here. I keep going between Ruben Bain and Arvell Reese kind of here at this pick, but I want to change it up a little bit so these mock drafts aren't just the same thing over and over. We're going to go down the board a little bit to Spencer Fano. I believe he's going to be the first tackle off the board. This is a very high pick for him. I don't think he is anywhere near the third overall pick talent wise, but this draft class is kind of weak, especially offensively. There is some good top end D line and defense. Offensively, not as much. It looks like next year's draft class looks a little more fun offensively. So, fantasy dynasty players like myself trade this year's picks, try to get picks next year. See if you can get pick one and get Jeremiah Smith. That'd be really cool. I have Spencer Fano here. I believe he has the best chance to stick at tackle of the tackles in this draft. Really, really good 2024. Really good 2025. Don't let this number scare you off as decline. He was still very, very good, very well rounded. He would fit in as a centerpiece of that offensive line to build around with whoever the new coach is. At number four, I will continue and continue to push Ruben Bain being the best defensive player in the class. He is so impressive. I know they lost to Ole Miss, so they are not, or excuse me, they beat Ole Miss. So we get to see him in the championship game. This guy is incredible. I've said it multiple times. He reminds me of Abdul Carter last year, where he is going to continue to push up draft boards because he's now getting the national media attention of playing in the college football playoffs and being a difference maker in all of these games. He has been so good. I don't care about the question marks of him in the run game. I think he's much better than people think he is. He is incredible at rushing the passer, and he can move inside if you really need him to. He can. I don't see the weaknesses that some other people are seeing. I think this is a great edge rusher. I think he's going to be great in the NFL. I've said it. I think he's the best defensive player in this class, and I have him going here at number four as the first defensive player off the board. At five, there's a bunch of Ohio State guys at the top. There's actually four right in this little spot right here. So I do have the Giants going a Ohio State player in this. Sonny Styles, Arvell Reese, Caleb Downs, all great, great players. That defense is not as much of a question mark, though, as I think some of their other needs. And a big need for them is another Ohio State guy in Carnell Tate. I've kind of mocked this a couple times. I really like receiver here to the Giants. Carnell Tate, big body. He's not blazing fast there's not like one thing that stands out for him. He's just very well rounded and he gets open. He finds ways to get open. It's very valuable. Big bodied receiver can go make a deep play down the field. You can line him up inside and have catches over the middle. You can do anything with him. I really think the Giants will value a receiver there, and Carnell Tate is the most well-rounded prospect. He has the least questions of any of the receivers. You look at a guy like Makai Lemon, really, really great. Really great receiver, but maybe he doesn't have the physical attributes. Not the fastest guy, not the biggest guy. He's sub 6 foot, sub 200 pounds. He's not going to blow you away with his 40 time, but he gets open. He's a great receiver. I could see him getting pushed up this board a little bit. And then, of course, Jordan Tyson, probably the best receiver talent wise in this draft, but there are deep, deep injury concerns. And for a team like the Giants, who seems like they can't stay healthy, especially at receiver, I think Carnell Tate is the most safe receiver that they could pick. And he's still a very, very good player. I have him going there at 5. At number 6, another team that could need receiver. I could definitely see Makai Lemon going here, but I think Jordan Tyson is just good enough. And I think as long as there's nothing that arises in his pre-draft physicals and he runs well at the combine, I think he'll be a home run pick for any team. I have the Browns going here at number 6 with Jordan Tyson. I will start switching this up a little bit just because I think I've had these picks be the same the last 3 mock drafts. They just both need receiver, and these are the receivers that are going to get pushed up. I'll try to sneak Makai Lemon in here somewhere. I'll try to sneak some other guys in here, but these are the guys that I have going right now. This will probably be what I end up having my final mock draft. A lot of times what I do here is I try to play out different scenarios and see if I can, maneuver the board and get some different fits, different places. My final mock draft, the day before the actual draft, it'll be either the day before or right before the draft. I will post what I think is going to happen. Last year went 8 for 8. The first 8 picks got right. Not sure I got a single one right after that. But it's always fun for me to kind of play with the different scenarios. But then the final mock draft will be, hey, here's where I think every player is going to go. Here's what I think the teams are going to do. And we'll come back after the draft and see how I did. At number 7, I've continued to go defense here. You look at tight end, Kenyon Sadiq could continue to rise up this board. Oregon's now out, so you don't get to see much more of him. Very, very good tight end prospect. I'm just not sure how much I see him shooting up into the top 10. And then after this, it gets a little tight end weak on teams that really, really need a tight end. So I don't have him going tight end here. I have them going D line. Or excuse me, I do not have them going D line. I have them going defense. And it was between Caleb Downs and Arvell Reese. It seems like they are just going to need the positional value of Arvell Reese is just higher than Caleb Downs. I know he hasn't played as great as he had earlier in the year. I still really like him. I have Arvell Reese, kind of the Swiss Army knife, going to the Commanders there at 7 to go bolster that defense. He can rush the passer. That's where his value is, but you can also play him off ball if you need. He's kind of a Swiss Army knife, and so I have him staying valuable. Maybe not as valuable as I had him earlier on when I had him going in this 2 to 3, 2, 3, 4 range. Drops a little bit here to 7, but I do still really like him as a prospect. At number 8, Saints. I've had them going offense. I've had them going Arvell Reese a couple times. I've kind of had them everywhere. I'm going to go D-line. I'm not sure how many times I've had them go D-line. It's between David Bailey and Peter Woods. And they seem, I'm just going to go off the connection with Clemson with Brian Bisset. I'm going to go Peter Woods. Seems like he keeps getting pushed up more and more in mock drafts that I've seen recently. It seems like teams aren't as worried about the down season he had here this past year at Clemson. They still really, really like him as a prospect. They're almost viewing him kind of like a 2024 prospect rather than his 2025 play. Does fall a little bit. Teams, I could see him going in the top 3 like at the beginning of the season. Falls here to 8. Still think it'd be a great pick if the Saints are able to develop him inside. And if he returns to the form that we think he can return to, this is a great top 10 pick for the Saints. At 9, the Chiefs. I've done this over and over. I'm going to continue to do it. I've seen everyone else do it. I know it's very boring. I think they're going to be in the Breece Hall sweepstakes. I think if he hits free agency, the Chiefs have to be the favorites to go get him. They need a running back with the question marks of Mahomes and how much they pushed for him at the trade deadline. They are going to want Breece Hall. I'm still just going to have them going Jeremiah Love. I mean, he's incredible. Jeremiah Love in this Chiefs offense would just be as a Bengals fan and as a fan of football, if they get Mahomes back and they figure out receiver a little bit and they get Jeremiah Love, another place I could see Mekhi Lemon going, he just doesn't fit that offense maybe nearly as much because they seem to value speed more than anything in the receivers. Now, while that maybe hasn't worked outside of Tyreek Hill, I don't have them going Mekhi Lemon here. I do have them going with the best offensive playmaker in the draft, undoubtedly, in Jeremiah Love. At number 10, this pick has to be Caleb Downs. As a Bengals fan myself, you can see me wearing the Bengals hat today. Um, it has to be Caleb Downs, and I've continued to pick Caleb Downs every single time. For the fun of this mock draft, I'm not going to take Caleb Downs with this pick, but it has to be. Like, if he is sitting here at 10, Cincinnati Bengals, I beg you as a fan, please take Caleb Downs. I've seen mock drafts where he is sitting there and they don't take him, and I would be crushed. The only reason you don't take him, I don't, even if Peter Woods is there, I wouldn't take Peter Woods. Take if Arvell Reese is still there, I would take Arvell Reese. If Ruben Bain is still there, I would take Ruben Bain. Other than that, I am taking Caleb Downs 100 times out of 100, 99 times out of 100, because right now I am not taking him. They've seemed to, Duke Tobin in his press conference this past week really emphasize that they need D-line help and need pass rush help. Well, you've got a pure pass rusher on the board here in David Bailey. Maybe not as great against the run, kind of not undersized, but not he is asked to rush the passer. That is what he is great at, and that's what the Bengals need really badly. They've got D ends that are good in the run game. Miles Murphy and Shamar Stewart are really good in the run game. Joseph Osai set to become a free agent. The Bengals have mutual interest with him to bring him back. But they need D-line help still. They need pass rush help. So I'm going to have them take a pure pass rusher here in David Bailey out of Texas Tech. Please take Caleb Downs, Cincinnati. I mean, I wouldn't hate David Bailey, but please, please, please take Caleb Downs. At number 11 here, it's been corner the entire time with Miami. It's going to continue to be corner. It's Jermod McCoy. It's Mansour Delane. It's Avion Terrell. It's one of these guys. I don't think Colton Hood jumps that much. Maybe a little undersized in Mansour Delane, but he did have the best season of any of these guys, and it seems like they need a guy who they can count on to play. You don't know that with Jermod McCoy bouncing back from an injury, so Mansour Delane is my pick here at number 11. I think I've done this a couple times now. Really like the fit. They need a corner. They need corner maybe more than any team in the league. Maybe the Cowboys also need corner. But Mansour Delane, I think, is probably the pick there at 11 to the Dolphins. At number 12, this has been defense the entire time. It's been Sonny Styles. It's been I think I had Jermod McCoy going here one time. It's been defense. It's going to continue to be defense. And Caleb Downs, who I think him and Ruben Bain are the two best defensive players in this class. He falls right into their lap at number 12. It's a great pick. I know Sonny Styles might be better positional value wise, and he came as a safety, but Caleb Downs is so good, and they need help everywhere. I think the gap is big enough between Caleb Downs and Sonny Styles where you take the less positional value and take Caleb Downs there at 12. At number 13, I've mocked this over and over and over. I really like the fit of Jermod McCoy going here to LA. They don't need him. Say he still needs to work back a little bit. That's okay. This team is good enough to keep going. They get the win over the Panthers, so they're moving on. So this pick's actually going to be worse than this. Right now, it hasn't updated yet because the first round is not over. So they will be picking a little bit down the board. But could still see Jermod McCoy falling to them because that injury, teams could view that and not and be scared of using a top 15 pick on him. So I will continue to give them Jermod McCoy if he is on the board. Sorry, my audio is weird. But if not, I will in other mock drafts. If they continue to win, like I think they will, he won't be there, and I'll continue to mock him other places. This pick, this pick will stay here. This is the Atlanta pick, so this pick will stay here. It's this other pick. They have moved it down the board. This pick will stay here at 13, so they do have the 13th pick. So I will probably continue to have Jermod McCoy going here, unless in another mock draft I have him going maybe here or somewhere else. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. At 14, the Ravens, they need defense. They need defense pretty badly. I'm going to take who I think the best defensive player still on the board is, and that's Kendrick Falk out of Auburn. I'm an Alabama fan. You can see the helmet there in the back. That doesn't mean I can't recognize a good player from a rival when I see it. Kendrick Falk, very, very good. more of a defensive great against the run, maybe not against the pass. You can still develop him there. Really big, kick him inside. I could see him playing more inside than on the edge. But they could kind of use him anywhere. They need help on that defense really badly, and I think he's a good fit in Baltimore. At 15, the Bucks falls on the board a little bit. This is a place where I've had Kenyon Sadiq a lot. I really like the fit there. Kate Otten maybe is still good enough where you can look another way. And a guy that has fallen on the board who I think would fit great in this defense is Sonny Styles. I mentioned earlier he is a former safety. He's huge, 6'4", or excuse me, 6'5", 243. Massive, massive human. It's why they moved him to linebacker. He can do it all. I mean, really, really good against the run, especially as a guy that used to play safety, doesn't miss tackles. I think he missed one tackle all year. You can drop him into coverage and be completely safe. He's one of the better coverage linebackers in all of college football. He also can get after the passer if you need him to. You can bring him on a blitz, and he has got the size to get home. Really, really nice prospect. Wouldn't hate Bengals going him at 10 as a Bengals fan. If Caleb Downs is not there, I would not hate Sonny Styles. I think this is a great pick here for whoever gets Sonny Styles. I'm as the process goes more and more, and I look more and more into these guys. Sonny Styles is a guy that I am becoming increasingly high on because of how good he reminds me a lot of some other really, really good off-ball linebackers that we have seen just come into the league and dominate. He also reminds me a lot of Isaiah Simmons coming out of college. I know Isaiah Simmons did not work out in the NFL, but I think Sonny Styles is very similar to him, and I think it could work. I think the Cardinals just kind of messed up Isaiah Simmons. At 16, Sauce Gardner trade gives the Jets this pick from Indy. A lot of different ways they could go with this, but I already have them picking a quarterback in Dante Moore. Last week, I gave them help with Kenyon Sadiq. I'm going to give him a help again. Not with Kenyon Sadiq, however, I am going to give them Makai Lemon, who maybe falls a little bit in this draft. Like I mentioned, not the most physically gifted player, but just knows how to play receiver, and that plays at the next level. If you can create separation, that will play. Obviously, the physical abilities help you create that separation, but if he is able to use the leverage that he uses on DBs in college and bring that into the NFL, if you get open, you get open. Sometimes that does not change. Look at some of the premier route runners. Cooper Kupp won a triple crown. He's not the most physically gifted guy. Hunter Renfrow was known as one of the best route runners in football. Never going to blow by you. You can be a great receiver in the NFL without all the physical attributes. It makes it harder, but Makai Lemon did a great job of that at USC, and I think he could continue that in the NFL. Hope in this mock draft with the Jets. At 17, the Lions, lots of different ways they could go. Could see them going a guy like Cassius Howell, who's a pure pass rusher, to line him opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. Could see them going inside with Caleb Banks, a guy that's maybe a little more developmental, or Caden McDonald to stop the run because it looks like DJ Reader is not going back there. Caden McDonald would be a great fit, but I do have them going offense with Francis Mauigoa out of Miami. Could definitely see him even getting pushed into this top 10 with some of these tackle needy teams. I think he falls just a little bit. I think he has the chance to kick into guard, which maybe lowers his value a little bit. I'm not sure that he sticks at tackle. Here, I would have him sticking at tackle, or you could move him around and kind of find a place for him. Really good players, played really well for Miami. We're going to get to see him go up against Indiana in that national championship. So interested to see that. Yeah, no, he's again kind of the Ruben Bain because of the national recognition that Miami has gotten recently. He is going to continue to move up boards, and I have him here at 17. At 18, the Vikings, they need DB. They need DB bad, and they're going Avion Terrell. I think I've done this a couple times. If there's a corner, if Avion Terrell, if Mansour Delane, if Jermon McCoy, if Caleb Downs, if any of those guys, any of the big defensive backs are here, they're taking one of them. They need that really bad. I mentioned earlier that the Dolphins were the most corner needy team in the league. I think right behind them is probably the Vikings. Both teams need corner. Harrison Smith expected to retire. I don't think it's been announced officially yet, but it was kind of the way that the end of the season was handled and how much they showed him and him dapping up all his teams. It seems like it's the end in the legendary career of Harrison Smith there, so they could go safety if Caleb Downs doesn't fall, and I don't think he does fall to 18. I would go the best corner on the board, whoever that would be for them, and for me, it's Avion Terrell. At number 19, the Panthers, they lose their first round game. What a great game, though. Absolutely incredible game. Really, really high on this Panthers team. I would absolutely love to see Bryce Young take the next step, but they need some help in order to do that, and he needs some help in order to do that. You saw what he did with Tetairoa McMillan this year. Get him another weapon. I could 100% see Kenyon Sadiq being the pick here. Absolutely, he would fit right into this team. They really could use a tight end, and Bryce liked tight ends in college. He used tight ends a lot at Alabama. But I am going to continue to push my draft crush up the board. Denzel Boston has the same build as Tetairoa McMillan. Big, fast, strong, makes great plays, great hands. Denzel Boston, go to Carolina and go line up on the other side of Tetairoa McMillan and help Bryce Young take that next step forward into next year. At 20, the Micah Parsons trade gives Dallas this pick from Green Bay. Green Bay, a heartbreaking loss. One of my friends is a pretty big Packers fan, and I was watching that game with them, and yeah, they were not too happy with that last play from Jordan Love. They're not replacing Jordan Love. I know Packers fans have said that that is not happening. Anyway, Dallas here at 20 has this pick again in the Micah Parsons trade. And they need defense. I've already given them Caleb Downs. They're going to continue to add to this defense with this pick. They missed out on some of the big linebackers, but there is one that I still like a lot. It is CJ Allen out of Georgia. Very well-rounded linebacker. Really good in the run. You can drop him into coverage, but maybe you don't want to as much. Moore is going to get his nose in the run game in the box, which they need help with, especially if you're going to take guys they have already taken Caleb Downs here at 12 in this mock draft, so you get two big run stoppers, which they need. Caleb Downs is a little better in coverage than CJ Allen is. Really like him out of Georgia and really like the fit there. You look at some of the other linebackers. There are some guys. Anthony Hill, I will continue to push up. Jake Golday, who you see, go Bearcats, will continue to push him not into the first round. Jacob Rodriguez, this is such an intriguing name because was so good this year. I understand it. I even think I'm higher on him than a lot of people are because he was that good this year, but I will continue to not have him in this first round. When I do a mock draft, if I extend one into the second round, I may include him in that, just to kind of push him in there. But I couldn't see that. Um, there are some other names. Josiah Trotter is another name. I could see him getting pushed into first round talks if there are really needy teams. Deontay Lawson, I don't think as a first rounder. Anthony Hill, I will have in first round mocks. I don't have him in this one, but I will have him in there eventually. I do think he's a really good player. 21 Steelers. Lots of different ways they could go. Aaron Rodgers has been really good for them this year, but is he coming back next year? I don't think so. Let's take a shot. Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson comes out of college, which I think is very interesting because he publicly stated he was only coming out of college if he received a first round draft grade. And he declared for the draft. He turned down multiple multi-million dollar offers to transfer, turned down going back to Alabama to play, and comes out of college apparently because he believes he's going in the first round. And there are some quarterback needy teams here at the end. The Rams are another team to look at. That's where I had him going last time. You could see Cleveland taking a shot here at 24. But I do have him going here to the Steelers. They've needed quarterback. They haven't drafted quarterback all that well. Kenny Pickett being the last one they drafted in the first round. That one did not pan out. This is one where you would have liked it if Aaron Rodgers decides to play next year. This is the perfect pick. I know that he's not going to want to do that again with mentoring a quarterback, but if Ty Simpson can learn from a guy like Aaron Rodgers for 1 year and then go play, he could be a special quarterback in the NFL. I think he's got the tools. He's very, very good at reading defenses. Not as great against as the season went on, it looked like he was getting worse and worse at it, but it has come out that he was playing through injury, especially in the Indiana game. He ended up leaving in the second half because of injury. But I could really like the upside here of a pick at 21 with the Steelers taking Ty Simpson. At 22, the Chargers, they need O-line. They need O-line so badly. That was so bad against the Patriots. Unbelievable. The best guard on the board is Vega Ione out of Penn State. I think I've made this pick a couple of times. It has to be O-line. You could definitely see a guy like Caleb Lomu or Caden Proctor moving up into this kind of pick, but take the pure guard, the guy you know can play guard already, because you need to get Justin Herbert some help so he's not running for his life back there and help that run game. Omarion Hampton couldn't go anywhere against the Patriots. At 23 here, as I'm going to fix my audio again. Jesus. At 23 here, the Eagles. I have them staying on defense as well, going D line. They need an edge rusher. Cassius Hallis here. I'm not as high on him, I think, as other people are. I'm still very, very high on TJ Parker, despite kind of a down year. I will have the Eagles going TJ Parker here. I don't know what it is really. They they seem to like to take guys from big schools. There are some teams that are just kind of like that, where and vice versa. Like the Patriots for a long time were known as taking guys from, like, you're like, where is he from? The Eagles seem to like to take the Georgias and Alabamas and Clemsons and those kind of, they take Jalen Rager instead of Justin Jefferson, but it seems to be more the pick. Not that A&M's a small school, but TJ Parker, I think the upside is still very much there. Very similar to Peter Woods, had kind of a down year this year. Seems like teams are maybe buying into that a little more than they were buying into it with Peter Woods. But I still really like him a lot. I like the pick here at 23. At 24, this is going to continue to be offense because the Browns defense is actually very good. They need offense. They need help. Let's protect Shedeur Sanders, who I believe will be the quarterback all year next year. It's between Caden Proctor and Caleb Lomu, another team that seems to just like big offensive linemen. So I will pick Caden Proctor here. Kind of a question mark. Not as good of a year as people thought he would have. I still really like him. I know other people are down on him. This is maybe a little biased with him being at Alabama and me being an Alabama fan, but really big. And there's been talks about kicking him in the guard. A 6'7", 366-pound guard is terrifying. Think of Mekhi Becton and what he did with the Eagles last year, and now with the Chargers this year, maybe not as good. I really, really like Caden Proctor. I like this pick here at 24 for the Browns. At 25, a big win against their rival, the Packers, in the first round. For the Bears, they need help inside. I've had Caleb Banks here the entire time. I will not go Caleb Banks. I'll go a little more surefire here with Caden McDonald, who is just going to plug the run. They could use help up front. They could use help at linebacker. This could be a place that you see Anthony Hill jump up the board. But with Caden McDonald still there, I do like him as the pick there at 25. At 26, Buffalo, falling on the board a little bit, but they need edge rusher, and the best one still available is Cassius Howell out of Texas A&M. Really, really good against the pass, not as good against the run, but with Joey Bosa, as old as he is, and the issues they've had getting pressure on the quarterback, Cassius Howell, I think, is a good pick, and he can develop nicely in Buffalo. At 27, the Niners get a big win there. To see them definitely using another receiver, though. There are some good receivers on the board. I'm going to go a little bit down the board, not too far down the board, but Jeremy Bernard. I'm going to use Alabama bias a little bit. Good build, 6'1", 204. You can play him anywhere. You could play him outside. You could play him in the slot. A Swiss Army knife who can make plays down the field, who can make plays after the catch. Really, really like Jeremy Bernard. I might continue to push him up the board, too. Yes, I'm being biased, but I absolutely love him as a prospect. I got to watch him all year long. Kind of it was brought in as a complimentary piece to Ryan Williams and just took over the offense. He's now the best receiver. He was the best receiver on that team this year. I think he was, after the Georgia game last year, was the best receiver on Alabama. And I think he's going to quietly go into San Francisco or quietly come into the NFL and be a really, really solid NFL wide receiver. At 28, Texans, there's some needs here. This team is maybe not as well rounded as I originally thought. Kind of earlier in the year, I think they could use help. I know that defense is really good, but they could use some help interior wise. Caleb Banks has fallen, so I'm going to take Caleb Banks here to develop in that defense. He's not going to be asked to do as much because of how good those edge rushers are. So he can sit and develop and kind of be you're hopeful a run stopper who you can maybe develop into also getting pressure on the quarterback, but he's a big, big dude, 6'6", 330. I think this is more of a guy that you hope to just plug the middle against those inside runs and let your edge rushers go to work on the outside, because those edge rushers are Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson are so good down there in Houston. 29. This is where I had Ty Simpson last week. I have obviously can't do that now because I had him going at 21 to the Steelers. But I think they could fill another need here in the tackle at Caleb Lomu, who I think falls a little bit. I could definitely see him getting pushed up just because of the positional value of tackle. I think he probably sticks at tackle. And they could use tackle. There's very few needs on this Rams team. I really like them a lot, but whoever the quarterback is next year, whether it's Matthew Stafford, I think he's going to come back at least another year. And I don't think there's a quarterback in this class that you'd be okay taking. Trinidad Chambliss is now going to be coming into the draft. He got his 6th year denied. Other than that, though, I'm not a believer in Nussmeier. Carson Beck, he's had a great playoff run. Not a believer in him that much. It's such a weak quarterback class. I think next year's a much better class, and so I would have them looking next year at taking a quarterback, maybe at the back end of the first round, where I think they'll be picking again. At 30 here, the Patriots, big win over the Chargers in round 1. I think they're really good, but they could use some upgrades. I know it's not one of their needs here, but he's fallen in the draft, and why not go get your superstar quarterback, yet another weapon? I've talked about Casey Concepcion all year right here. I love a receiver fit, but let's go get the best pass catcher and playmaker still here in Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end out of Oregon. These Patriots teams are the best when they have great tight ends. Obviously, the first one that comes to mind is Rob Gronkowski. Not the same build as Kenyon Sadiq. Kenyon Sadiq is more of a finesse tight end. He's surprisingly better in the run game than I would think, just because of how good he is in the pass game. He's much more well-rounded than I initially thought he was, but a really good dynamic playmaker. You can put him anywhere. I'm not saying he's Brock Bowers, but plays in the same style as Brock Bowers, and I like him at 30 there to New England. At 31, Denver has the first round bye in the AFC. That's why they're sitting here at 31. They could use help. I think this would be another good pick for Kenyon Sadiq. I know linebackers on here, and I keep talking about Anthony Hill, but I think that defense is good enough where you can take a risk maybe on a guy who hasn't played as well recently. In Casey Concepcion, that last game just left a bad taste in my mouth. I still am a believer in him, but not as much. I think it could be very hit or miss with him. But the Broncos need a receiver pretty badly with Courtland Sutton and Marvin Mims there. They could definitely use a second or third option there with Casey Concepcion out of Texas A&M. And ending this mock draft at 32, could use corner here. I think the best corner on the boards, the best corners on the board here, Colton Hood, Keith Abney are probably the two I was going between here. You look down the board a little bit. Again, I'll continue to talk about Davison Igbinosun, not as much of a fan of him as some other guys. But I will go who I think is the best on the board and ranked the highest here in Colton Hood out of Tennessee. Stepped up a lot for Tramon McCoy this year. Here is my mock draft. I think I have every pick on the screen right there. Yes, I do. Kind of if you're skimming through the video and you want to see who your team picked, this is my 4th mock draft I have done. There will be one every week from now until the draft. If there was any picks in this that you think I missed, like any guys you would love to see me include in the first round, let me know down in the comments below. If there are any, if you're a fan of a team and you don't like the pick and you think they should take someone else, let me know as well. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. There's a playlist for all the mock drafts, so you can go back and watch each one of them. I will also link it at the end of this video of the last one. If you enjoyed, make sure to let me know down below, as I already said. But yeah, this is another mock draft. Again, there'll be no one next week. Hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching this episode of Let's Talk Football. If you enjoyed what you heard today, make sure to like and subscribe. Also, comment down below with what you would like to see me talk about next. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more just like it, click on the video right now to see my last episode, and let's talk more football.